and welcome to this week's episode of Indie Film Wrap. I'm your host, Sierra Kane, and I'm so excited to have with us Michael McIntyre. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Hi, Sierra. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. I'm excited to dive in. So, what we like to do here on Indie Film Wrap is we like to go way back in the timeline and hear about your uh, actor slash filmmaker origin story.
It's not as interesting as Superman, but I actually got started in film partially because I grew up being a martial artist. A lot of kids did soccer or football, and I did some of those things. But I started doing martial arts when I was very, very young. And as I started getting a little bit older, I wanted to find a way to apply that. And aside from being a wandering Ninja Turtle, which doesn't have a lot of job options, and that led me into exploring being an actor and then getting on stage when I was in high school, and then ultimately pursuing a career in that, and moved from my hometown of Boston out to Los Angeles when I was 17 years old and started doing the actor thing. And
Cool. Yeah, so I want to hear more about that because that is a big move. And I have made the move from Midwest to LA and then LA to East Coast, and they are all very different. So I'd love to hear from you kind of maybe what your idea of LA and California was like, and then what the reality was as a young actor, you know, moving from East Coast to West Coast.
first of all, I don't really miss the snow. If I never have to shovel another driveway, I'll be a-okay. But really, when I was young, just starting out as an actor, I honestly did have an image of Los Angeles as sort of this land of opportunity where all I needed to do was get out there and start doing the thing, present myself to the industry, as it were, and everything would fall into place. And as wonderful as it is, and as great as the journey has been, I definitely had to learn a lot. And I think what contributed to me being where I am today is the fact that I think I made almost every mistake in the book. They might have written some new chapters for me, but it takes a lot of work, and it is a city that is tough to survive in, and tough to make a living in. And I think the biggest surprise for me and learning experience for me was the level of work that goes into being in this industry.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point about how LA, cities like LA, and I'll even throw New York in there, can feel like a bit of a beacon, like this, almost like the gold rush times, where I think some actors from smaller towns have this idea of if I can just make it to LA, then everything will start to happen, or like
All my prayers are answered. Exactly.
but to your point, it's so much the first 5 to 10 years of being in LA are just making mistakes, in my opinion. And that's once you get through that, then you start to learn and make progress.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the iceberg. You might see the tip of the iceberg, but there's so much underneath it, below the surface. And
Yeah.
that's getting by, as particularly as an actor in Los Angeles. There's
Yeah.
so much that goes into it.
Yeah. And when you moved, was it so did you move out there for Cal Arts, or was Cal Arts a little later in the story? And what did you feel like you took away from Cal Arts, and what was maybe something that they didn't teach you?
Well, for one, when I moved out to Los Angeles, like I said, I was 17, and my father did say, I have an incredibly supportive family, and I am thankful every day to them for everything that they've ever done for me and with me. And my father said, he said, look, you got to go to LA. You have job opportunities. Take the chance. But whatever you want to do, I support you. Just make sure you study it. go for it, get a degree. And so I lived and worked in Los Angeles for about a year, year and a half, until I started looking at schools to go to college. And I found CalArts, and of course I auditioned for all the big ones. And CalArts really connected because it was the only one where I left the audition with a positive feeling, with a positive
Mm,
sensation. And honestly, CalArts was an incredible experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It is a truly unique place, I'll say that. If you've ever heard anything about CalArts, it's creative, it's wild, it's just off the wall and interesting and experimental, which can be a really great breeding ground for creativity. And the biggest thing I took away from that experience was how to be a collaborative artist,
mm,
how to be uh, uncompromising while remaining collaborative, um, and pursuing your artistic passions, having the fulfillment in what it is that you do, and then of course the work ethic, because
yeah.
there is nothing like trying to put up an after hours theater production with nothing but stolen equipment and a focused group of actors and friends, and that
Yeah.
that was the experience at CalArts. um,
Yeah. And that's great to hear because I know I went to UConn University. I was on your old coast
yep.
going to school out there for my MFA in acting. And I think in a way we are so blessed to have all of that like massive amounts of creativity and just be breathing it in and talking about playwrights and acting technique and all of these things. And then I think one of the more difficult parts is leaving that environment and going, okay, what now? So what was
Absolutely.
that moment like for you? And maybe how did that lead into Rapid Reels and some of the work that you're doing now?
Absolutely. So I think that's a big failing, and not to throw anybody under the bus or any particular program. I think the work is very, very valuable that you get out of going to school and studying the craft and training, and it's absolutely necessary. But the one missing component in a lot of ways is the business side of the
Hmm.
craft of acting. And many people are living in those, like you mentioned, very immersive, very creative, very artistic environments where they're really getting to live their craft day in and day out. And the resources are there, the opportunities are there, it's all centralized. And then you step into the real world and it's not. And you actually have to shift gears and retrain yourself as not only an artist and a craftsperson, but then a marketer, a business, person, um, all sorts of things that aren't skills that you pick up when you go get a degree in acting or even take an acting class. Um, and that can be a very big stumbling point for a lot of actors. And so when I left CalArts, I had run a theater company for a number of years, and pursued my own film career for a while. Kicked around, did all sorts of jobs, from everything from a coffee PA to a first AD to a second AD.
Yes, a crucial job on any set and one of the most beloved. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you learn so much doing the different jobs. And, I think I picked up a lot of skills. So it was a very valuable time for me. But at the same time, I happened to stumble upon Miguel Amodio, who was one of the two founders of Rapid Reelz. And ironically enough, we met at a coffee shop, a friend's coffee shop. A mutual friend of ours owned a coffee shop, and we got to talking, and I loved the mission of Rapid Reelz and joined up. And after a number of years, Miguel's own career kind of took a few turns and started taking off. So he passed the business off to me.
Awesome. Wow. Okay. So when you say joined up, what does that initially look like? Were you writing scripts? Were you directing? Were you getting your hands on equipment? Were you running the behind the scenes operations, more producer type role? What were some of the things that you started doing, and what does your day to day look like now?
The short answer is yes. Um, I did all of those things. It started with me as an actor, and then moving into a position as a director, ultimately working as sort of their operations manager, director of operations, and then kind of having hands on every department bit by bit through that role as sort of the director of the operation. And then when it transitioned to my ownership, when we sort of passed the torch, as it were. Now my job is focused on partnership. It's focused on expanding the services that we can provide, expanding the team. I still get my hands dirty with the operations and handle, individual actors and working with them and helping to make sure that their process is seamless and that their scenes are going to be top notch. But yeah, it's a little bit more top down than it used to be, which is still very gratifying.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the team and the different roles? If you have like a core team, or if you mostly work with freelancers, and how those filmmakers kind of can get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, the team is the secret sauce. I love our team, and it is expansive. We've grown significantly over the past several years, and our goal is to make sure that everyone who's working with Rapid Reelz is not only dedicated to creating these scenes, but they're also a working professional and bringing those skills to the table. So the first person that a lot of our actors meet are their producer. So their producer is with them the entire way through. We have a lovely roster of producers. They're great people. They work incredibly hard, and they're so detail oriented. They become the window into the process of crafting scenes. We have a wonderful roster of writers, a diverse team of writers from all different backgrounds, who are all professional writers, who bring so much to the scripts, because it all starts with an incredible script. And then our directors, our cinematographers, even our post-production team, we maintain rosters of professionals and try to match every client actor, every scene, with individuals that are going to really make that scene pop, that are going to make it excel. And that's because these are working professionals, and everybody has their strengths, their weaknesses, everybody has their focuses and their interests. So we try to match a team with a client that's really going to sing.
I know you've already, talked about the amazing team, and I think that adds a lot of value to the reels and the process. I'd imagine that casting might be challenging. Can you talk a little bit about that? Or if all of the scripts are, like, do you kind of get a pool of actors and then write a script around that? Or how does that work?
Well, for the client actors, so the star of the show, everything is custom created. We never recycle scripts. We never rework things that have been done before. Everything is totally unique, and that happens in the writer session, where that client actor gets to sit in with their writer. Since the pandemic, we do everything over Zoom, because everybody's familiar with it now. And the writer and the actor get to work together and really bring out scenes and concepts that match their brand, that match their specific career goals. And then we maintain a pool of actors that we refer to as our dedicated actors. And these are people that we've worked with, that we've vetted, that we know every single time we call them in, they are going to knock it out of the park. And that gives us the opportunity to put all of our focus on our client actor and really make sure that their performance is top notch. And that pool of dedicated actors is constantly growing. It's constantly changing. Everyone on the team is consistently bringing new people in and working with them as they're out in the industry doing their thing. And even some past clients have become dedicated actors for us. So some of it is a familiarity with our dedicated actors, but at the same time, if we need somebody that is a specific type or a specific look, we'll go out and find it. We'll pull our very extensive network and find that person who's going to match that scene
I love
phenomenally.
I love that. I think of almost like an actor. It's like the actor's wedding day. You know, it's like everything is tailor gets to be tailor picked, and it's your big day, and it's
Yeah.
not just a bunch of people coming together, and we go. You know, Breakfast Club style. It's like, okay, well, what scene can we write for these five people who want to make a reel? I love how personal and individualized that is. I'm sure that that is a great way to really get out of it what the client actor wants to get.
Oh, absolutely. And, people have questioned, well, why would I go to a content creation service as opposed to just, going out and self-submitting and auditioning? And really, it's that customization. It's, skipping the gamble of going out and starting with just a headshot and auditioning and finding something that is going to be curated to you, that is a boutique experience that can really help not only give you material, but also be a learning and growth experience for you as an actor. A lot of new actors will come and work with us, and this may be their first experience on set. And we want to ensure that they're learning in an environment, they're experiencing in an environment that is going to be curated to them, that's going to benefit them, and is going to lift them up. And one of our big proponents is that information is always free. We're available to share. We all lift up together. So why keep things close to the vest? We want everybody to learn and have the opportunity to pursue what it is that they dream of in their career.
And on that note of sharing information, we've provided a lot of good insight and tips for actors. We've kind of talked about that journey and that path, but we do also have a lot of filmmakers who are audience members, and with you being a part of this business and getting to make so many shorts, essentially,
Yeah.
each one is like a short film. What are maybe some like tips or tricks for filmmakers that they can use, whether it's like a low budget hack or maybe favorite equipment or just things that you've found helpful?
Well, I would say honestly, the one thing that I take away from Rapid Reels almost every day is that the most important things are the things that don't cost. Um, when we're doing Rapid Reels scenes, we're obviously not working with tremendous budgets. And our core goal, our bottom line goal, is to highlight the performance of this actor and show them in a situation that um, accentuates their ability to perform. So that teaches us regularly, no matter what the genre is that we're playing in, that at the core of filmmaking, all you really need is an incredible story and a why.
Hmm.
Why are you telling this? That's your most important piece of equipment, I think, because you can get away with a Zoom camera. You can get away with an iPhone. You can get away without a full lighting rig. You can get away without $100,000 worth of VFX, as long as you know what the story is you're telling and why you're telling it. Um, Go back to basics. even if you are working on a tremendously large budgeted project, at the end of the day, check in with yourself. Go back to basics. What's
Yeah.
my story and why am I telling this story? Because that will make the difference between the thing that's flashy and pretty but has no substance and the thing that sticks around.
Yeah, I love that. Kind of going back in and checking in with those foundations.
Yeah.
And with that, let's take a look at a scene.
You missed your tutoring session. Again. No, you're going to pay for this session today. And you're going to show up tomorrow for your rescheduled session, even if I have to drag you there. You should have thought about that before you skipped today's session. Now let's go. What? Gretchen. Gretchen, get in the car now. You think they're going to sign for you out here? No. The world is not going to coddle you, and I am certainly not coddling you.
That was so awesome. So thank you for sharing that with us. And how can actors and other creatives get involved with Rapid Reels? What's the best way?
Well, the easiest thing to do is head to our website. That's www.rapidreelz.com. That's Rapid Reels with a Z. And check us out. Take a look, do your due diligence. You can schedule an initial consult with us. That is always completely free. And that's the opportunity to get a little bit more information about what we do and how we do it. And also for us to get to know you and what your individual goals are.
We're coming to the end of our time here, but I'd love to hear maybe one of your favorites, either like success stories or just like a great time on set, or one of these like magical moments. Anything in that category.
Anything in that category, in the category of magical moments. Okay. Well, I'll be honest with you. We were filming probably, I would say, 4 or 5 months ago, and we were filming with an actor who was completely green. Had really just moved to Los Angeles and gotten to us by way of referral. And we'd worked with them and brought them through our entire process, kind of helping nurture them. And they did get to set, and you could see the nerves had
Oh
kicked
yeah,
in.
yeah.
And this was a set where we were in studio. We were shooting on what I believe was supposed to be a college dorm room set. And we had done the design on the set, and the cameras were there, and the lights were there, and we had gone through our first couple of takes, and it was real tense. And our director, who is one of our directors, his name's Jorge Luis Payo. He's a wonderful man. He went over and he sat down and he said, "Okay, you're nervous. Let's focus in. What do you want here? What are you doing in this scene?" And they had about a 3 or 4 minute conversation. And I saw the breath and I saw the actor drop in. And from that point on, it was like they had been doing it for 40 years.
Mm.
It was completely natural. The performance was superb. And seeing that moment of transition, which an actor may not get on a professional set, they may not get in the audition room. Seeing that happen through the Rapid Reelz process was magical.
That was a magical story. Thank you so much for sharing that. Michael, it's been amazing having you on our show. Thank you so much for joining us on Indie Film Wrap.
Thank you for having me, Sierra.